Get ready. Ready to vote
in Kansas.
Kansas.
Have you heard that there are 2 new rules about voting in Kansas? We want all Kansans, including people with disabilities, to know these rules, so your vote will count. In this video, we'll talk about the new rules and give you the information you need to be a smart voter. First things first. To vote in Kansas, you must first be registered to vote. Registering to vote is quick and easy. You must be registered to vote at least 21 days prior to Election Day. On the internet, you can go to www.ksdisabilityvote.org to learn how to register to vote. After you are registered to vote, the first rule you need to know about is the new Kansas Voter ID law. This law says you must show an identification card or an ID that has your picture on it when you go to vote. There is another important new law about voting. It says that all new voters in Kansas, that means people who have not voted in Kansas before, must prove that they are a United States citizen when they register to vote. We'll talk about that later. Let's start with the voter ID law. Kansas voters must now show a photo ID when they vote in person. That means if you go to your polling place to vote, you will need to show the worker a photo ID.
What photo IDs are okay?
You can use several of these types of ID to prove that you are you. A driver's license, a non-driver's ID card, a U.S. passport, a Kansas college ID, a U.S. military identification document, a government-issued employee badge, a concealed carry gun license. Other forms of ID are okay. You can find a full list and more details at www.gotvoterid.com.
I have a permanent disability. Can I be excused from the photo ID requirement?
Excellent question. Yes, you can be excused from the photo ID requirements for voting, but only if these 2 things are true for you. You must have a permanent disability or illness. Having a permanent disability or illness means it will last the rest of your life. And you must be approved as a permanent advance voter. Permanent advance voters are people who mail in their voting ballot every election instead of voting in person at a polling place. If you meet these 2 requirements, you do not need an ID to vote. If you do not meet these 2 requirements, you will need a photo ID to vote.
Becoming a permanent advance voter sounds cool. How do I apply?
Applying to become a permanent advance voter is quick and easy. Go to www.ksdisabilityvote.org. The deadline to submit your application to become a permanent advance voter is at least 4 days before Election Day.
What happens once I become a permanent advanced voter?
You will automatically get your ballot in the mail for each election. Then you can vote in the privacy of your own home. You return your ballot by mail. No more remembering when the next election is. No more hassles of having to find transportation to the voting place. Permanent advance voting. What could be more convenient?
What if I am not on the permanent advance voting list, but I still want to vote by mail? Do I provide ID?
If you want to vote by mail and you are not on the permanent advance voting list, you will have to provide a copy of your ID or more information when you mail in your vote. You will have to either provide a photocopy of your photo ID. Remember the list I gave earlier of OK forms of ID? Or you will write your full Kansas driver's license number or non-driver ID number in the space on the ballot form.
What if I don't have photo ID? What can I do?
If you don't have a photo ID, you must do one of these things to vote. You must get an accepted photo ID and show it to vote, or you must be approved as a permanent advance voter, as we just talked about. Go to www.ksdisabilityvote.org for more information about your options.
Can I get a Kansas ID for free?
Yes, you can get a free Kansas ID. Once you are registered to vote, you can apply for a free non-driver ID card. The next point is very important. Remember when I said that to vote in Kansas, you must first be registered to vote? It's the same with getting a free ID. You must first register to vote to get a free Kansas ID. Go to www.ksdisabilityvote.org to download the form to get a free Kansas ID, or to register to vote, or to get more information.
What if all I have is this photo ID?
If you are 65 or older, you can use an expired photo ID, such as an expired driver's license.
I could not get my picture ID card because I didn't have the right documents. What can I do now?
You have 3 things you can do. If you were born in Kansas, you can get a copy of your Kansas birth certificate. You can get this from the Kansas Office of Vital Statistics. If you were born outside Kansas, you can pay to get your out-of-state birth certificate. Or you can get a Kansas voter ID document for free. Or if you have a permanent disability and you are approved as a permanent advance voter, you do not have to provide a photo ID. Go to www.ksdisabilityvote.org to learn how to get a free birth certificate, a Kansas voter ID document, or to apply for a permanent advance ballot. For more information about the new voter ID requirements, go to www.gotvoterid.com. Now we'll look at the new Kansas law that requires first-time voters to prove they are a United States citizen. This law only applies to Kansans who register to vote for the first time after January 1st, 2013. So, if you registered to vote in Kansas before that time, this law doesn't affect you. For those who register to vote after January 1st, 2013, you must provide your county election office a copy of a document that proves you are a U.S. citizen. You must do this either when you register to vote or at least one day before the election you want to vote in.
What can I use to prove my citizenship?
You will need to give the county election office a copy of one of these: a birth certificate that shows you were born in the U.S., a U.S. passport, either valid or expired, U.S. naturalization documents that show you have become a U.S. citizen, a Bureau of Indian Affairs card number, tribal treaty card number, or tribal enrollment number, a final adoption decree showing your name and U.S. birthplace. There are also other documents that work. For a full list of ways to prove your U.S. citizenship for voter registration, go to www.gotvoterid.com. And remember, you only need to prove you are a U.S. citizen if you are a new registered voter after January 1st, 2013. Finally, if you have trouble finding acceptable documentation, you do have the right to make a formal appeal to prove your U.S. citizenship, even if you don't have the documents I listed earlier. This appeal is made in a hearing of the State Election Board. The form to request an appeal can be found at the Secretary of State's website listed on the screen, or by going to www.ksdisabilityvote.org. Contact the Kansas Secretary of State's office for more information on how to make this appeal. We hope these answers help you use your right to vote. Your vote is your voice. Use it. If you have a disability and need help understanding these new laws, the voting process, or any other disability rights issue, please contact the Disability Rights Center of Kansas. www.drckansas.org 877-776-1541 www.ksdisabilityvote.org. For more information on photo ID or citizenship requirements for newly registered voters or other voting questions, contact the Kansas Secretary of State's office. www.sos.ks.gov 800-262-VOTE www.gotvoterid.com